All right, I'll call this meeting to order. First item of business is attendance. I believe we have to start with the people in the room. So if you guys want to go ahead and we'll jump onto the Zoom side.
John Sullivan here.
Jessica Cannon.
Phyllis Goodson.
Dave Ingram.
David Mays,
Dave Mays.
Rich Smith.
PJ Klein.
Perfect. All right, we have a quorum. First item of business is, do we have any comments or additions to the monthly meetings from last month? Not hearing any, so we'll go ahead and approve the monthly minutes from last month. And then we'll move on to item number 1, which I will hand to David.
Yeah, we actually, since PJ is about to go through security as traveling, we're not, he's asked if we could look at item number 3 first, which is just a discussing updating the meeting time. We've had a few members have concerns for, and just have, we're not being able to get everybody here because of, other conflicts. So we want to possibly look at changing the meeting time and put that up to you guys for a vote. And some suggestions from Lindsay in times that she is also would be free. So she's not, I guess they have an ongoing staff meeting that interrupts this meeting. So Tuesdays, anytime 1 to 4 p.m. Wednesdays, anytime 9 to 1 p.m. or Fridays 9 to 12 or 2:30 to 4. So, and PJ, I know you were mentioning Tuesday or Wednesday just after lunch.
Yeah. What did she say? She said 2 to 4.
Tuesday would be 1 to 4. So,
okay.
So 2 would fit in there as well.
Yeah, I have a standing staff meeting as well from 3 to 4 on Tuesdays. But I could always do 1 to 2:30. Like, that's not a problem. Or if we wanted to do 1:30 to 2, I don't have a preference. But if that's the other times she mentioned, none of them off the top of my head work. I'm sure we all want to avoid Fridays if possible. I'm not sure how others feel about it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say we probably shouldn't do Fridays because we know everyone, here and there, people take long weekends and we have holidays that'll run up against that and that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I would say we should stay away from a Friday.
Tuesdays after work, lunch, after work, work, after lunch, work. We could stick to our same weeks so we know that we don't have standing conflict. Does that make sense? Second Tuesday.
I can do that.
So same time on Tuesday, like 1 to 2:30, just move it a day.
Sure.
Is that?
I think that would be fine for me.
PJ?
Yeah, I could do that. There may be some 12 to 1 o'clock meetings that may press up against it, but for the most part, it should be okay.
We want it shifted half an hour, 1:30 to.
No, because then he has a 3 o'clock meeting, so it ends up being a wash.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's rare that would happen, so I'd be fine with just moving it to Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Okay. Dave, did you get any clarification on what we need to do procedurally to change the meeting time?
I think just notifying of the change. Apparently the public notifications, they're just sending those out like a month at a time. So
Okay.
If we wanted to change, we could just amend the notification that I've sent to the city clerk and amend it for starting in June.
Okay. Do we need to have a vote or we can just make an agreement on that?
One other item I'd like to tie into that is the July meeting. I have a potential conflict that week of July meeting, and I know at one point mentioned just because of people's vacation schedules and perhaps even taking a month off. So I wanted to also tie in potentially scratching the July meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We originally had said we were thinking about doing every other month at one point, but I don't think we're ready for that yet. But that would be good because we had canceled in the past in December as well. So it's I personally don't see a problem with it unless someone has a heartache where we feel like we have to meet in July.
No, I'm fine with that as well.
So then perhaps we can make a motion for switching the meeting time to, it'll be the second Tuesday of each month at 1 to 2:30.
so moved.
Well, do we need to check with the people that aren't here at all?
Well, we told everybody we were going to talk about meeting times at this meeting. So if you're not here, I'm going to assume you don't have a concern.
Well, and Lindsay sent her concern, right? Here's times that are available. So
Right. Those are the times that would work for her. So we're missing Val Jean and
Andrea.
right?
Andrea.
Andrea, yeah. We could,
I would just leave it as an open discussion at this point. And
Why don't we do this? Can we plan on sending that, proposing that meeting time in an email at the end of this meeting? And say, if you have a conflict with this, then please respond by the end of the week. And if not, we're going to assume that this is that will be an approved meeting time that we can move forward with.
that works.
that works, yeah, I'll send that out to everyone following this meeting. And if there's no disapprovals, we'll move forward with that for the start of the June meeting.
Okay, sounds good. And I would also say the same about canceling the July meeting.
Okay.
Cool. Okay,
Great.
if there's nothing else to discuss on item number 3, then we can move on to item number 1.
I will take that as well. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sean just suggested, but perhaps doing, and PJ, I won't put you on the spot too much, but since you were also a presenter there at the State Energy Conference, that fourth bullet, I just had a few kind of takeaways from the conference, but as you were there too, I just wanted to see if you give you an opportunity or if you had any comments on your thoughts from the conference.
I thought it was a great conference. It has gotten bigger and bigger every year, which I guess is a testament to all the energy work going on in the state. I found it very interesting that a majority of the population that were in attendance, or a good portion of them, I shouldn't say majority, but a good portion of them were developers or the energy companies themselves. A lot of people in energy generation positions, energy generation companies. I was a little perplexed or shocked to see very little to no people that were there representing energy efficiency, which is obviously a hot button topic for me and things that we've talked about in this meeting. But I found that there's a lot of concerns about the carbon plan that Duke Energy has out there with timing, how fast, what is the generational mix. There's a lot of arguments amongst different parties on what should be the generation mix, which makes sense for North Carolina. That's kind of the cliff notes that I took away from it. David, do you have anything differently or to add that I didn't cover?
I would definitely agree with that. There was a lot of discussion, around the Duke's carbon plan. I certainly attended probably, were you there both days or just one day?
I was there both days.
Yeah, so I'll just add with some of the sessions that I attended and takeaways. I attended the one session on the Solar for All grant. Actually, the Julie Woolsey from the State Energy Office was one of the presenters there. So, North Carolina's been awarded $156 million for the Solar for All program. It's very much aimed at providing solar and weatherization and energy efficiency to low to moderate income communities across the state. So that's the state is going to be administering that grant with not only local governments, but also nonprofits across the state. So we'll certainly be looking at what Wilmington can do to tap into that state awarded grant program. It's the first year now that they've just received the money. So the first year here is going to be a planning process. So I think it's going to be another, probably next summer before they actually start rolling out some of the funding to communities. So, Tom Moten had gotten word of the grant award here in the state, and he was very interested in regard to what we can do here in Wilmington. So my takeaway was just stay in touch with the State Energy Office, let them know about what some of our local programs and plans are in regard to where Solar for All can help out, and just see where we can help access those funds for our community here as well. So that was one of the Tuesday sessions that I attended that's certainly going to be relevant for our, not only across the state, but here in Wilmington. And then another really good one I attended, PJ, you mentioned energy efficiency. One thing we're actually looking at here is our utility management system. We're actually considering going to a new provider called Empira, and they were actually one of the presenters at the State Energy Conference in regard to some of the work that they've done with other local governments across. They gave an example of working with Durham, and just really how you can leverage some of the energy efficiency data that they're able to collect, with really helping to identify savings opportunities across your portfolio of buildings. They actually had some of the city staff from Durham there as well, talking about that Empira tool and how it's helped them identify energy efficiency and across their, particularly across their school system. So, yeah, one thing Dave knows I've been a fan of this Empira tool and the services they've provided to other local governments here in the state. So looking at being able to transition to that in July, hopefully. We're still kind of working through the details here. But
It's not a consideration. It's a going to happen.
It is happening.
Yeah.
and Empira, ENPIRA is the,
And we have an existing tool that we're gonna get rid of, or,
we've been using from it's called Energy Manager from Brightly. So
is it better?
Well, they take all the accounts and actually upload the data straight from the accounts instead of us having to do that.
Got it.
So will this include the fire stations and the police stations and all of that?
Every
So
place
it'll
that
be
we have
more
an account.
comprehensive view.
Yeah.
It's every meter, it's every bill, right? Every meter location.
Yeah, so all of our Duke bills, all of our natural gas, our water utilities, you can even import your fleet data into the system as well. So, and
Yeah, I'm not sure how many besides you and I have been to the State Energy Conference, but they run like 6 or 7 tracks. And of course, there are different tracks for different things. So I think there's a whole renewables track, which I don't believe I attended any of those. So, you get the insights on what's going on in the particular ones you attended. And so there was a couple of good sessions that unfortunately I didn't get to attend. That word talk, I did want to see the one about solar for all, but unfortunately it's just not as relevant to my job function. I didn't get to go to it.
Yeah, it was hard to choose which sessions to go to. There were six different tracks that you could attend. So there were 6 choices for, you know, each time period. So yeah, it's kind of kind of picked which one you felt you would get the most information from. And actually, I don't know, there was one session that's like I wanted to see part of one, also another, and they're adjoining or next door rooms. So I went to the first half of one and second half of the other. So dividing and conquering. So yeah, and just some of the main plenary sessions as well were pretty interesting. PJ, I thought always kind of bigger picture, kind of statewide programs that they're talking about. They would have like a speakers during the lunch break as well as during the breakfast sessions as well. So it's good, always a good conference. I think they had record attendance this year, so I was impressive to see the growth of that. It's all put on by the North Carolina State, was it Clean Energy Technology Center, which we've worked with quite a bit already. So anyway, that was any other comments there, PJ?
Oh,
He's still
still
there.
there.
Nope.
Okay.
No
Thanks.
other comments.
The next update then, we'll move back to that top bullet, is that addendum to the state and federal legislative agenda strategic focus areas. So following our last meeting and the comments from y'all, we drafted a memo that's been provided to our deputy city manager. He did ask for some additional information in regard to kind of a definition of a sustainable community. So if you all have that memo in front of you, you can see that focus area number 3, kind of the first section there, the recommended edit to the strategic focus area number 3. We listed as creating a sustainable community that is safe, environmentally healthy, socially responsible, and economically prosperous, which is just kind of a expansion of the original focus area number 3 that I think it was originally just said creating a safe, healthy, and engaged community. So we wanted to expand it to include kind of what a sustainable community looks like, kind of really focusing on that triple bottom line that, many sustainability organizations reference. And there were just a few questions in regard to, well, what's the definition of a sustainable community? So I provided that one that's listed there from the Institute of Sustainable Communities, but I think our deputy city manager wants to hold a bigger discussion around it before we actually forward it further up the line of city leadership. So Dave, I know we've got probably have some more discussion scheduled.
Yeah, this will be definitely submitted to council before the next meeting that we have.
So yeah, just wanted to give you all an update that we did draft this memo and submit it up the line, and it's still a little bit of a work in progress, but it's moving. So again, positive step that they were looking for some comment from this committee, and as we mentioned in our last meeting, hopefully next year they'll actually draft it, or some input from this committee as well. Next item on the updates is the status of our EECBG application. So actually just received an email this morning from a lady with the Department of Energy who is kind of our contact. Her name is Leslie Four. She sent an email to us this morning saying they had requested some edits to the applications, which we did and resubmitted it last week. And her comments were, all the edits look good. She's pushed it on to their finance team who, takes another look at it. So it's in the next step of review. And her comment was it was probably going to be late July or August before it gets the final approval. So and we're currently drafting an RFP for the fleet transition strategy that we'll be able, so as soon as we get that funding, hopefully we'll have everything in place. Get that RFP out, or can we go ahead and push the RFP out and begin? So we can go ahead and get that out. So we'll have hopefully somebody lined up by the time we get that funding approved and we can make some quick steps with it.
So with the new Impera tool, you said they even do pull out some fleet information.
You can,
I'm wondering if there's any Venn diagram of the request that we're going to put out to help us do a transition study, how it will intersect with this new tool that will be at all, if any. Just because this kind of a thing I'm not very familiar with is what they look at.
yeah, I think it's too early to tell.
Gotcha.
We haven't looked at Impera from a fleet perspective yet. The fleet management division has used Faster as their kind of their management software. And they're going to be transitioning to a more accessible software
Okay.
right now. Not to say that what you're bringing up is not a good point, but I'm not sure we're there to be able to consider that question yet.
Well, I imagine if we're starting to compartmentalize and process all that fleet data with this other tool, maybe it'll just make it easier for whoever we're asking to come and make recommendations. Maybe it'll make it easier for them.
That's a good
It's
point.
expensive.
Or at least knowing the hooks for the future.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all info Impera's will request to be pulled. I'm sure, vehicle models and identification numbers, as well as, mileage costs for that. So,
All right.
yeah, that's the status of our grant. So
Good timing. She responded today.
yeah,
What's that?
It was good timing that she
Oh, yeah.
kind of came back with feedback this more received this morning.
and talking about electric vehicles, and in the past, we've talked about trying to do a pilot, or, at least getting some, even before we do the study, get some into the fleet. And we actually have some under Dave's department that we're actually looking to getting one vehicle replaced with a Nissan Leaf and another Nissan Leaf to add to what we have.
Two replacements.
Yeah.
They're both replacements.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of one vehicle, though. It's still gonna be there for longer trips. So, but anyway, yeah, 2 Nissan Leafs coming into the fleet. So those will be our first fully electric vehicles, and charging infrastructure as well that'll be, down at the operations center where those will be located. I don't know if we've got any update from John as far as when those may.
I think but last I heard, he said they were available. We buy all of ours through Sourcewell, Sheriff's Association, whatever, one of those cooperatives.
So those are the updates from item 1. Any questions there? Any questions from any of you guys online on Zoom?
No,
Okay.
that makes sense to me.
No,
Thanks for joining, Valjean. Sorry for the little confusion there with the.
You want to ask her
no
about the
problem.
exchange of time?
Good point. Valjean, before you joined, we had a discussion in regard to changing the meeting day from second Monday of each month to Tuesday. Same time, but it would just be on Tuesday as opposed to Monday. So it'd be the second Tuesday of each month.
That sounds fine.
Okay,
Super.
excellent.
And July.
Oh, and actually just canceling the meeting for July. So we would skip that month.
Okay. Tuesday of each month, no July.
So I'll still be sending an email out to everybody just to get everybody's approval of that new meeting time, but it sounds like it's gonna be good. The next item, item number 2, Rich, I'll just go ahead and jump into, is extending an invitation to Duke Energy just to discuss our common goals and see where we may be able to support each other, work together towards achieving those goals. Not that we can necessarily help Duke achieve their statewide or carbon goals, but we really just want to see if we can have that discussion and share kind of we just want them to be familiar with where we're trying to get to and what we can do together to help achieve those efforts. So the thought was being able to send an email out to Pam Hardy, who's our kind of local designated person we've got somebody we reach out to just kind of for new account issues, but as far as overall kind of customer care is Pam Hardy for this area. So I'm not sure if y'all may have met her around the area. So
She's good because she also has several other counties. I mean, she's kind of the southeast. So, I mean, a good person to work with.
yeah, so I just wanted to put that in front of the group to hear y'all's thoughts on it or language y'all want me to include in an email to Duke, and just get y'all's feedback and thoughts on that effort, kind of where we may want to steer that conversation.
Are you thinking someone from Duke would come to maybe one of our meetings and just kind of talk about their path forward or their plans or kind of talk about, commonalities? Or are you thinking something different?
Yeah, definitely inviting her to come to one of our meetings. That's
Her and she may want to bring up,
Team.
some team members.
I know sometimes it's a little bit tricky schedule wise. So if it needed to be at an off time for this group, I would be open to being flexible with her schedule. I don't know if other people necessarily can with their schedules, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, we'd certainly let them know what our existing meeting time is and see.
Right, that would be the first
work,
choice.
and, yes, see what, let them know what our goals are for clean energy as well as our fleet electrification goals. I could see that being an additional Duke staff they may want to bring, because I know they have staff that are looking at fleet electrification and what that means to the local grid for the area. So that could be very helpful as well, particularly as we're looking at doing our transition study. And part of that is looking at the grid impact. So it'd be interesting to see who they may want to bring along.
Yeah, I think when we had the earlier setup for this meeting, just talking also about like any sort of educational opportunities or outreach. We could participate, or they can participate, or if they have any plan. That sounded like a good idea just to talk about.
Especially as it relates to wind.
Wind, yeah.
I do think it's important for us to kind of set a framework for the meeting. Preempt them with things that we want to at least touch on. Could come from the topics that we covered in the ad hoc task force report.
As well as our priority chart.
Sure.
Maybe there's some things from there we'd like to.
I mean, if you want to talk about offshore wind, some things would be good. It's just if they have any plans, kind of like what employment opportunities they have. Like, are they going to try to train for offshore wind technicians in the area, or what kind of impact will it have on Wilmington or its?
Yeah, we've got Cape Fear Community College right here with a strong technical background, and
Yeah, they have the marine technology program, which does a lot of that's more on the surveying side, but they kind of train people to do a lot of the things that I'm involved with in offshore wind. And a lot of the people, I think, the graduates from that program go into like dredging companies. So, I mean, there's more opportunities if wind comes here for them. Yeah, I think kind of seeing where the impact will be and what sort of a lot of the criticism wind gets, and it's true, is that they employ a lot of people from overseas because that's where the expertise comes. So it's really important to try to get people trained in the area. And most developers want to see local content. They want to see people from the area projects. It's also like, there's probably something where they, whenever they're making the proposal, Duke's a little bit weird because they are also people who'd be using the energy, where in other states, they do power purchase agreements with utility companies, but, they probably part of their bid to those companies is to use local content. I'm sure Duke's interested in that. I'm not sure how they'd frame that in the proposals.
Actually, can you just update me? Where in the process are we with those leases and very just
Well,
30,000
they
per year.
did, well, if you remember, kind of it goes from, they get the lease, and they do a site assessment plan, they
right?
do a survey, then they submit the plan, then that gets approval, then they do the construction operation surveying and then plan. So they did the site assessment plan last August, I believe, and they
Okay.
submitted plans to federal government for approval. And I'm not
And
sure.
what does the state get to say or not say? These are offshore, so it's all federal.
Yeah, for approval, it's federal, but you have to, like, everyone's a stakeholder, so you have to, they have to talk with the tribes in the area. So, like, if you look at, I don't know, it's like a report, Carolina, Long Bay. I could find the website. It was linked in one of those, but they have reports every, like, twice a year or something like that. But they'll tell you everyone they talk to in that, since the last period. So it's also federal regulatory bodies like the Army Corps of Engineers, NOAA, NIMS, which is fisheries. So it's like you have to involve all these people, and you have to talk to the fishermen in the areas too. I don't have a list of everyone I've talked to, but that's kind of what they've been doing. I would say from what I can tell, and for the Wilmington lease areas, they've been doing a lot of discussions with the stakeholders. And then the Kitty Hawk one is farther along.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think they've submitted their construction operation plan. I could be wrong. I wrote it in that.
But it's happening.
Well, they're all moving
They're all
forward. I don't know if they're happening. I think some of it will have to, we'll have to see what happens after elections, because then I just saw
Oh,
yesterday
yeah.
that Trump said his first plan is to like kill offshore.
Save the birds.
Yeah, or save the
Stop
whales,
kidding.
the whales.
That's
So
the
we'll see
whales.
how that, what that happens.
Okay, so that's a good point. Okay.
But I think it also, I have to see how the carbon plan comes out. I think I get a feeling that I think I saw one of your Squeaky Clean podcasts you guys mentioned. I listened to it from the Total person,
It's good.
and they're kind of waiting to, I think, the carbon plan to be moved forward in December, I want to say, before they really, so I think everyone's kind of like a little bit on hold. And then if they see moving forward with requesting more wind, then things will move up, speed up.
Got it. Thank you. Found the start.
Are there other topics that we want to make sure that we cover in discussions with them that are on y'all's minds? Or do we want to take the opportunity to go back and look at the task force report, read through it and see if there's anything that jumps out?
I'd say
Offshore wind is one.
I'd say the fleet transition as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just, I know that I've just submitted, Duke's EV charger, what do you call it? If you do, any upgrades on the site for installation of EV chargers, there's a charger prep credit you can apply for through Duke. And I've just applied for that for the EV chargers we put in at the convention center parking decks. It would be good to know if they're going to be continuing that program, because it's certainly an offset, for any installation work we may do across the city. So it would be good to, hear not only kind of what they could help with in regard to impacts to the grid around our facility, but just any rebate opportunities they're offering now or in the future towards electrification.
I mean, you could ask other questions like, I know Wilmington's supposed to be a hydrogen hub. I mean, which is supposed to be green. It might be something just like, I haven't even read much about it. I just know.
Do you remember they asked us for that letter of support for Hydrogen Hub? Duke asked us to sign that letter of support.
A couple of years ago,
That's just been like in the last year.
was it?
Yeah.
Might be
So-
just worth.
That'd be,
There's a hydrogen hub coalition.
yeah, Duke was looking for letters of support for that.
Utility-led concept left. I need to learn more about hydrogen.
Yeah, you can't. Hydrogen can come from hydrocarbons or it can come from green.
Got it.
And they call it like green hydrogen versus, I don't know, I think there's like blue hydrogen, green hydrogen, and gray hydrogen or something.
Well, that's also part of, one of the areas in their carbon plan is at some point in the future, converting natural gas to some kind of a green hydrogen. So even though they want to construct new gas right now, they're saying down the road, their plans are to convert those. Yeah, that's what a lot of people said. So it would be good.
Build some stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, it would be good to perhaps hear some more of their thoughts around that. What's the technology? It's kind of like the small modular reactor,
Yeah.
another technology that's not actually available yet, not tested or anything. So
And I think wasn't the Castle Hayne facility, the GE facility somehow involved in manufacturing those.
Mhm.
That's worth, it's kind of out of our area, but I mean, I guess it could employ people here.
Might also be helpful just to ask her, what's the heads up on things we need to be thinking about that we're not already talking about. So we can get up to speed on stuff. This is a perfect example, which I just didn't even know about.
I think it would perhaps also be interesting, Dave. I know we've talked about areas of the grid around the city that aren't as up to date with smart technology as other parts of the city. Is there any, which helps us in regard to resilience, you know, when storms come through? But parts of the city with older grid systems there aren't able to repair is, be good to touch on that. See if there's any plans on upgrading some of the transmission lines.
Doing a ton of improvements along 17 with I guess the foundations, what do you call the poles? And it's gotta cost a lot of money. Big old concrete structures are all replacing those like timber poles.
Replace some.
Capital
temporary-
project.
Yeah, I guess to be hurricane
Yeah.
resilient capital project. Yeah. They're big, man. The augers on those things are like,
Those concrete poles are big.
yeah.
Is there any objection or concern that if we get an invitation out, that we potentially have this discussion as early as June?
And we've got, that would work, and we've got July free, so I mean, that people may be traveling, but if her schedule, depending on her schedule, but yeah,
Sure.
June at our meeting would be great.
I think she's kicking into road shows right now about storms and stuff like
Okay.
that.
So she'll be tight, yeah.
I mean, she may not be tight, but I know that I've gotten some communications from her recently about that.
I've let her know that this committee has an interest,
Yes. when it
something may
works.
be coming.
Yeah.
So she at least is aware, fringe aware now. Rich, PJ, or Valjean, any concern about that schedule?
No, that works for me.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Good for me too.
Well, this could be a short meeting then. So those were our agenda items. Flooding you or filling up all of the time this week, so I hope that's okay. Give you all back some of your time. PJ's about to get on a plane, it sounds like.
Are you going somewhere fun, PJ?
I mean, I'm going somewhere for work, so
Got it.
I don't know if I'm going because I don't know if I'm gonna get to Charlotte in time. So going to Poland.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I love Poland. The times I've been there have been great, man. If you can get out and enjoy it a little bit.
I'm there for 3 days, so gotta get there, get to work, get home.
Fair enough. At least have some pierogies.
Do a polka.
So how are we gonna move forward though with this? I mean, are you gonna just use that summary and try to craft something for Pam, or do you want more input from us?
No, I think we can draft an outline. I don't think it needs to be anything more than that. Just,
Yeah.
you know, here's
Suggested.
some things that the committee has expressed some interest in
Mhm.
just having some open dialogue about, and
The meeting.
at least give her the opportunity to know, here's our goals, here's some topics that we want to talk about. We can kind of dedicate some time to each one during the meeting, make sure we hit on all of them at least.
Makes sense.
So, no, I think we're good.
Okay.
Rich, do you want to adjourn our meeting?
Yeah, unless anyone has any other closing comments or concerns, we'll go ahead and adjourn and plan on seeing everybody in June.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
Sounds
joining.
good.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody, bye now.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.